right in the kisser.
Hey, how the devil are you? Why are you order? So we're talking about subwoofers today, okay? Not this one. This is a pile of poop, right? This is just an old subwoofer I got for 20 quid on eBay to test out equipment. When I'm testing amplifiers, I like to see if the sub out is variable and it works well. So I needed a subwoofer for that, just for testing. So I got this. It's not very good, so I thought it's about time I upgraded to a decent subwoofer to go on my Dali Spectre 2s. So this can go in the junk. And I've got this. Oh, there we go. Come on, there we are. Oh, have a look at that beauty. Oh, right. This is the Dali C8D. It's got an 8-inch woofer on the bottom. You can see it there, and it's downward firing and a downward firing port as well. Now this is a long stroke woofer. Now we all have a long stroke, don't we? Anyway, oh, laughing at my own jokes. That's sad, but long stroke is good. It is because it gives that woofer, because it's a smaller woofer at 8-inch, it gives it a bit more depth when it's going back and forth, and gives it a bit more of a deeper bass. So it's good to see the long stroke. I can't even think now. The long stroke woofer, okay? Let's put it on here. Right, let's bring you in for a closer look. And here it is. Ta-da! Okay, so this is 170 watts RMS Class D. As I said, it's got an 8-inch downward firing long stroke woofer. It goes down to 33 hertz and up to 200 hertz. The crossover frequency is 40 to 120. Got a volume here. You got your power on, off. I normally keep it on auto. You don't want it off because it'll be off. You can either have it on auto so it shuts down if it detects no power, or I can have it permanently on. I normally keep it on there. You've got your phase here, 0 or 180. Most people, you just leave it on 0. Some people recommend if you've got 2 subwoofers, you have one on 0, one set on 0, and the other one set on 180. If you think you've got an issue with the phase, what you can do, you can test it. You just whack this up. So what you do, you whack your crossover up to 120. You turn the volume up a little bit more than you would have it normally. Okay. Then you play a bassy track or a bass test track. This is if you haven't got a microphone. I haven't got a microphone, so I did do this. And you just flick back and forth and see which one is giving you the more powerful bass. And for me, it was on 0. And I think most of you will probably have to leave it on that. But that's how you test it. Then you got your LFE in. Now, obviously, if you use the LFE, your crossover is defeated. You can't use the crossover on a sub. And the reason being is this is for AV receivers. So the AV receiver will pick up the slack and do your crossover and your filtering, high pass, low pass on the AV receiver. Now, I'm using a Marantz Melody X. I'm going to connect to this, so I'll be using the line input. Then you've got your power switch here and your input and your power in there. There's a lot of conflicting advice when it comes to setting the crossover on these subwoofers. When you read through forums and you read speaker manufacturers' recommendations, for example, okay, so Dali recommend a crossover of 90 hertz on this subwoofer when using it with the Dali Spectre 2s. But then when you look at other sites like SVS who make subwoofers, they say you should set your crossover 10 hertz above the lowest frequency of the speakers you're using. So the Spectre 2s are 54 hertz. They go down to that far. So therefore, according to SVS, I should set the crossover to around 60, 65 hertz. Okay, So that's that, right? But then you've got to take into account if you're going to use a high pass filter. So if you're using a high pass filter, and obviously this is a low pass filter, you read, what do I set my high pass and low pass to? And then you got a lot of information again that's very conflicting. Now I've seen on some forums people saying, just set the high pass filter to 80 hertz and the low pass filter to 80 hertz. I don't think so. When you look at a crossover, they're not brick walls, okay? They don't just go like that and stop at 80 hertz and drop off a cliff, okay? So it's not like that. It isn't like that. If it was like that, then you probably could set it to 80 hertz each and you'd be fine. Excuse me. But what you've got is a crossover slope. So the high pass filter on my Melody X, that's got a crossover slope of 12 dB. So you can have 24 dB. I've seen 6 dB. I've even seen 18 dB, but the common ones tend to be 12 dB, 24 dB, okay? The 24 dB is going to be a steeper slope. So like that, right? Where it drops off like this, and then the low pass filter comes up in like that, okay? And the 12 dB is going to be slightly shallower. Now, the problem is if you set these both to 80, high pass and low pass, the crossovers are going to overlap because of that crossover slope. So you're going to get, if you set into 80-80, you're going to get that type of thing happening there. And to me, when you set it to 80 and 80, it sounds really muddled, okay? So when I plugged it in, I thought, I'm going to try it. I'm going to set it to 80 and 80. And exactly what I thought, it didn't sound good. It was just something not right. It's really hard to explain. It's almost like the bass is getting confuddled with each other. And that's probably because, you know, you're crossing over the crossovers, right? So I think it's always better to leave a bit of wiggle room. So for instance, I don't know what the slope, I don't know what the slope, because it slopes in. I don't know what the slope in of this is. I don't know whether it's 12 dB or 24. So I did ask Dali, I sent them a message, sent them an email, and they haven't responded. Maybe they will respond in time, but they haven't responded as yet, and that was about 3 days ago. I just want to know what the crossover slope was on this. So I don't know whether it's 12 or 24 dB. I don't know. Anyway, let's just say it's 12 dB. So when it comes to 12 dB, I like to leave about a 20 hertz gap. So I'll set the high pass filter to 100 and I'll set the low pass filter to 80. So I set that up, put that on, and I thought, oh, that sounds a lot better than 80-80. The 100 hertz high pass, 80 hertz low pass sounded a lot more cleaner. I thought that's a lot better. And I thought, you know what, let's try what SVS is saying. Let's set the crossover on the Dali on the sub to around about 65 and put the high pass filter on to 80. Did that, even better again. So maybe SVS are right. Set the crossover 10 hertz above. I don't know, around about there. But anyway, the thing is that it all depends on your room, doesn't it, really, as well? Is that you're going to put it in a corner next to a wall over the other side of the room. You know, you got that thing where you put the subwoofer on the sofa and then you crawl on your hands and knees around the room to see where the best place is. Well, some of us haven't got that. You know, this has got to go where it's got to go. Let me show you where it's going to go. It's going to go down there, right? Under the desk. It's an awful place to put it, okay? But that's the only place I can put it. I can't go crawling around the room because there's nowhere else to put it anyway, right? So for some of us, you just got to make do with what you got and try and set your subwoofer as good as you can for where it is. And in this case, I found that the crossover at 60 hertz, around about there, 60, 65, and the high pass filter set around 80 was really nice for me. Really cleared up the bass. I didn't feel I was missing any frequencies or any information coming through the bookshelves. Sounded really, really good. Anyway, right, I did do a little sound test, comparing it with and without the sub in the settings I just mentioned. I will play it for you, but the thing is, the only thing is, what I do find is that microphones don't don't tend to, and maybe if I had a really expensive microphone recording the music, it might be different. But microphones don't tend to do well with subwoofers. They tend to sound muffled. So I'll do the best I can, okay? Anyway, have a listen to this. So what do you think of that? Did the mic do it justice? Probably not. But in room listening, I thought it really added some weight to that bottom end. It really did. Considering it's only an 8-inch woofer, I say only, but you know, it's an 8-inch woofer. It really dug deep, I thought, and it sort of impacted you in the chest a little bit. You know, that's what's missing from when you use small bookshelf speakers. Really impressed with it. Really good. And also it looks nice. It's a lot better than that piece of crap I had that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And at the moment in the UK it's going for $299, which I think is a pretty decent price. I did have to pay for it monthly. Okay, couldn't afford it outright. But hey, it's 25 quid a month. I can afford that. But I'm really pleased with my purchase. I think I've made the right decision here. Sometimes I do regret some of my decisions. Gosh, should I have done that? But I'm really happy with the sound it produces. I wish I had a better place to put it, but it works well for me. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.